Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. Hopefully, your Sunday has been profitable up to this point, but if not, never fear, the Sunday Night Football Showdown contest is here. This game features the 8-2 Green Bay Packers visiting the San Francisco 49ers, who come in with a 9-1 record. The 49ers have been installed as a 3.5 point favorite, and the over and under on the game is 48.5 points. Both teams lead their respective divisions as they battle it out for NFC supremacy. Before we unpack tonight's showdown, I want to share the numbers that are fantasy relevant to the showdown contest itself. Up to and including this past Thursday's showdown contest between the Colts and Texans, there have been 78 total showdown contests. These showdowns have an average winning score of 132.21. The average winning captain score is 42.70. Because the average captain score represents 31% of the total winning score, I focus a lot of my attention to the captain position. With that being said, the captain's position breaks down as follows. The underdog running back has been in the captain's position more than any other position 18 times for 23%. The favorite quarterback has been in the captain's spot for the winning lineup 14 times for 18%. The favorite wide receiver has been the captain for the winning lineup 12 times for 15%. The favorite running back has been in the captain's spot for the winning lineup 11 times for 14%. The underdog wide receiver has been in the captain's spot for the winning lineup 9 times for 12%. The favorite defense special teams has been in the captain's spot for the winning lineup 5 times for 6%. The underdog quarterback has been in the captain's spot for the winning lineup 4 times for 5%. The underdog kicker has been the captain for the winning lineup 2 times for 3%. The underdog tight end has been in the captain's spot 1 time for 1%. The favorite tight end has been in the captain's spot 1 time for 1%. And the underdog defensive special team has been in the captain's spot 1 time for 1%. Now, I also combined the positions, and that reveals the following. Running backs have combined underdog and favorite to appear in the winning captain spot for the winning lineup more than any other position 28 times, which is 36%, or over 1/3. Wide receivers have combined for 21 times, which is 27%. Quarterbacks have combined for 18 times, which is 23%. All others represent 11 times for 14%. Another number that correlates with the captain's position is the straight-up win-loss record of the captain. Running backs are 22 wins and 11 losses. Wide receivers, 11 wins and 10 losses. And quarterbacks are 13 wins and 5 losses when they appear in the winning captain spot. The overall straight-up record for the captain's position in the winning lineup is 54 wins and 24 losses, which is 69%. When you correlate these numbers, the main takeaways are the captain comes from the winning team 69% of the time. Wide receivers and running backs combine for 63% of the winning captains. And if you use the quarterback, remember they are 13-5 straight up when they're in the captain's spot. Now, does this unlock the mystery of the game between the Packers and 49ers? Of course not. But it does give you an edge, which in the end is what we're all looking for, is an edge. In tonight's game, there's some key players with questionable tags, which we will have to check out at 7 o'clock. Among those players are Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver for the 49ers, George Kittle, the tight end for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel has a questionable tag for the 49ers, and Matt Breida for the 49ers has been ruled out. Those players with the questionable tags all are expected to play, but make sure you check that at 7 o'clock to make sure they're in the game. And I would somewhat temper their expectations. You don't know how long they're going to play. I did see something earlier that said Emmanuel Sanders might be on a play count, meaning he won't be out there much. Same for George Kittle. With Breida out, you can perhaps up your expectations for Coleman and Mostert. So those are the things that you got to think about when you're putting your lineups together. The 49ers come into this game giving up an average of 26 points per game in their last 3 games. Before that, their previous 7 games, they were only giving up 11 points per game. So these last few games, they've been giving up lot more points than they were, over double what they had been. Two of those games were against Arizona, which in both games Arizona was able to put 25 points or more on them 2 times in a row. Green Bay's defense is number 30 versus the running back position, so I look for the 49ers they're going to try to dominate the pace of the game, keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline. Aaron Rodgers can't beat you if he can't be on the field, and utilize their running game, which I feel like this gives Coleman an edge. I think Coleman's going to get a lion's share of the carries. They like to throw it to him out of the backfield, which is another weakness of Green Bay's. So that's where I feel like San Francisco is going to try to take this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, the path of least resistance for the Packers is through the passing game. The 49ers defense is very stingy, number 2 versus the running back position. So it's really hard to run against them. So I would temper my expectations for Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. They might be able to get them involved by throwing them the ball out of the backfield. But I think this comes down to the San Francisco 49ers running game versus whatever Aaron Rodgers can do. And I meant to mention that those games where the 49ers had given up the points, it was through the passing games. And remember, 2 times it was against Kyle Murray, who is a rookie quarterback. Now they get Aaron Rodgers, and it's a whole different ball game when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. He will have Davante Adams, unless something happens in the pregame workouts or something, and he likes to pepper him with targets. And if they try to double him or take him away, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any problem spreading the ball around. With the Showdown contest, I have a process that I use when building my lineups. Obviously, I'm focusing on getting the captain spot right. It doesn't matter what type of contest I'm in. If I don't get the captain spot right, it's going to be hard to cash. Definitely not going to win, but it's going to be really hard to cash if you don't get the captain spot right. And I feel with the captain spot, if you have the game theory to go with it, then you're well on your way. I've cashed in several of these contests. Had a lot of luck with them. I've never taken down one, but I believe in my process, and I believe that I will. As I mentioned, my process is to take a stand. Who's going to win? What is the path to victory? Run, pass, defense. What do they need to do to win? What are the best matchups? Identify the players that support this game theory. Narrow it down to a couple top players. What is the path for these players to be the top scoring? And then I build my lineup around that captain. And it just makes sense. If I want a quarterback in my captain spot, I always like to use at least 2 targets in the flex spot. If I got a wide receiver in the captain spot, I always like to have his quarterback in the flex spot, because there's only one way for him to go off unless he runs a whole game full of reverses, which isn't going to happen. So make sense of your lineup. And one thing that I do, try to do between the 2 deep special teams and 2 field goal kickers, I try to limit that to 1, 2 at the most. Kickers provide the safest floor, I feel like. In this game in particular, I feel like the 49ers defense is definitely in play. And I feel like if they're going to win the game, the 49ers defense correlates well with the running game. So with that being said, this is the lineup that I'm working on building manually. I have Coleman in the captain spot. As I just mentioned, I'm going to have the 49ers defense correlated with him. Next, I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to have Davante Adams. I'm going to have Jamal Williams. He still gets a lot of carries and catches a lot of passes as well. A lot of people will probably be on Aaron Jones in this game. And last I had 5,500, and I actually had Valdez-Scantling. So I got 2 targets, possibly 3 with Williams, teamed up with Aaron Rodgers. The 49ers in defense and Coleman controlling the game. This build right here kind of leads to the 49ers winning the game. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't have a strong take as for who I think will win or lose this game. But I feel like this right here is the path for the 49ers to win, for the 49ers to win. Rodgers in comeback mode, throwing it around. He's going to pepper Adams a lot. And if they try to take him away, then he'll also have Valdez-Scantling. With Adams being in the game, that makes Valdez-Scantling even more interesting. Just want to check this note here on Adam. Doesn't have a designation for tonight's game, so he's definitely in. So there you go. I left $1,500 on the table, which isn't a bad thing with Showdown. I seen something from the site that I use. It's a paid site, and they break down the showdowns, and they were actually talking about the average winning lineup this year is leaving a little bit over $1,000 on the table. So there you go. I think there'll be some Aaron Jones and Rodgers and Adams. Those players will probably soak up some ownership in the captain spot. And I like this particular build. So as I always do, I take the players that I like and I use an optimizer that I have. For Showdown, I set some minimum maximum exposures. I don't want, if I'm going to run it for 150 lineups. Now I don't MME, mass multi-entry. Don't have anything against anybody that does. If I could, I would. It just makes sense. And if I'm ever in the position, I'll definitely do that. But I take the players that I like. I pick out 4 or 5 potential captains, and I set the minimum maximum exposures for the other players. I don't try to use too many players down in the $200, $400, $600 range. I'm not trying to put turds in my lineup. Sometimes you have to, and sometimes that's what wins these guys these larger GPPs. But if you're playing head-to-head, double up, any type of smaller tourney or large tourney, you want to try to differentiate yourself. You don't want to have what everyone else has, because if that goes down, then the person that doesn't have it or the people that don't have that are going to be the ones well on their way. I don't mind splitting because something's better than nothing, but my goal is to one day take down a large GPP. So I set it for 150 lineups, as I said. I set the minimum maximum exposures to like 40%. Set up the captains that I like. I only put a couple rules in. If the quarterback is in the captain spot, I want 2 targets to go with him in the flex spot. Wide receiver in the captain spot, I want his quarterback in the flex, and then I just let it go. And what I want to do is I want to just see the different randomizations of the players that I like. And as I always do in this video, I always share with you guys the very first lineup that was generated. Some of them have been really interesting. I always play it just in case. Some of them I dislike, and usually the ones I dislike are the ones that do well. This one is kind of along the lines of what I like, and I'll show you, and we'll talk about it as I build it. It has Coleman in the captain spot, the 49ers D. It has Garoppolo. It has Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and with 2,100 left, it has Jusic, which he's not real, even at 1,600, he's not a turd. Last week, he had 7 receptions for 63 yards. If he gets something like that this week, now Kittle was out last week versus Arizona, and this guy is a fullback that he obviously got the targets that Kittle would have got. So with Kittle active tonight, you probably temper your expectations for this guy, but Um, this is what the optimizer did. Left 500 on the table. That's not a horrible thing. It's a common build to see both quarterbacks in there because of the floor that they do provide. The only target, well, Garoppolo has Jusic in here, and I guess throwing the ball to Coleman out of the backfield. 49ers. I kind of like this. It's okay. I like teaming Rodgers up with one or two of his targets, and Jones, it could potentially be a target out of the backfield. I just think that San Francisco is not going to let Aaron Jones beat them, and I think they're going to try to dominate the pace of the game, and they're going to do it with their running game, and they're going to try to keep Aaron Rodgers on the bench. So there you go. There's the lineup that was created. And I'll be honest with you guys, when I was building my manual lineup, I was looking at, I had a lot of interest also, and I'll have some exposure to this as well. I liked Rodgers up there, bringing it back with Adams and Valdez Scantling, and having the 49ers D with Coleman, which left me 7,600, which left me a lot really to mess with. I could put another target in there for Rodgers, or I could have Mostert in there. Field goal kickers offer a nice floor. If I put the and that's really contrarian there. I mean, you got 4,000 left. If I took McLaughlin out, I think I could actually get Williams in there as well. Yeah. So it's got the same players that I had that I originally built, except Rodgers in the captain spot. And then this theory is saying that the wide receivers aren't going to outscore Rodgers. He's going to spread the ball all around. You could take Williams out of there. You could pop Jimmy Graham in there. But just wanted to let you guys know I don't have any problem with Rodgers being in that captain spot either. So just some different ways to look at this. Like I said, I don't really have a definitive stand about this game. I'm just going to go with the couple builds that I showed you guys and enjoy the game. I did want to mention, for those of you who may not know, that Draftkings also has a contest that runs during the game. It's called Flash Draft, and what it is you get to pick 5 players. They have 5 rounds. They have 3 choices of players. You get to pick one player. You got 15 seconds to pick one of them. Some of them have multipliers, and you end up picking a team of 5. And you might have a multiplier. You might have, say, you got Coleman, and he's got a multiplier of 1.5. And with the third round, Coleman comes back again, so you select him. So now you got Coleman, who's getting 2.5 times the points that he scored. And it's just something to do while the game's going on. They have $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100, I believe. It's just something to do during the games. They do it for the next quarter. So first quarter would be for the second would be for the third, and third for the fourth. If you're just checking in on the game, I wouldn't really recommend it. It's for people that are really following the game, because sometimes somebody might be nicked up and you're just checking in on the score and not really even notice that that player's not even playing anymore. He's went to the locker room or something like that. And I've actually had a lot of luck playing that. Sometimes a few times I've tied for first, where I entered the $1 ones and got like 36, tied with a bunch of people for $36. But it's just something interesting to do during the game. Okay, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully this information provides some value to this, and you can put together some winning lineups. I'll be back tomorrow to do the Monday Night Football Showdown contest between the Ravens and Rams. I think that's going to be a really good game. Make sure you check the injury report tonight before 7 o'clock. Make sure these players over here, Sanders, Kittle, and Samuel, with these big questionable marks, and Breida's out. They have him as doubtful, but I read something he's out. So make sure, and then temper your expectations. Kittle had a broken bone in his foot, so do what you want with that information. I would, he could smash, but I probably won't have very little, if any, exposure to him. I don't like playing players on the last second when they're decided whether or not they're in the game or not. Again, thank you for joining me. I encourage you guys to please drop any opinions or comments that you have below. If you would please share this video, like it, subscribe to it so you get notified, and hit the notification bell so you get notified when my next video posts. I really appreciate it. My subscriptions have been going up and my views. So I got some big plans for this this channel that I'm trying to put together. So I really appreciate you guys joining me and following my the information that I have. So I'll let you get to building your lineups. My name is Ty Patton. This is all about winning daily fantasy sports. Good luck tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow.